How did you get your first platinum trophy? For me, I started back in 2016 and my first platinum was Rocket League. I had played the game for a while already and was only missing a few trophies. After some convincing from my classmates, I decided to go for the platinum trophy. I only had 4 simple trophies to complete and within a few hours I had my first platinum. And I've been trophy hunting ever since. The way trophy hunting should be is that you get a platinum trophy for a game you love. You may only miss a handful of trophies, but when you really love the game, you decide to go for the platinum trophy. And when you finally get it, it's a feeling of fulfillment. It's a reward to show you've done everything the developers wanted you to do inside their game. But lately, I have been playing games that I didn't love. Games I actually started hating. Not because of the story, the gameplay, or glitched elements, or just the game in general, but because of the trophies. A while back, I went for the platinum in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. A beautiful game set in the Viking era that, although not as good as the other Assassin's Creed games for various other reasons, is a decent game. But when I looked at the trophy requirements, I quickly knew this was going to take much more than just beating the story. Assassin's Creed Valhalla has 51 base game trophies. There are story trophies, collectibles, combat, and a few miscellaneous trophies. These trophy requirements are nothing new and many games follow the same layout. But in Valhalla, it becomes too much. You see, most games nowadays have collectibles. The majority of developers will implement some sort of item that can be picked up. They usually contain some extra lore for the player to explore and immerse themselves with, although no one ever reads that shit.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Or a unique item that tells something about the world or anything that can be used as a consumable, upgrade, or something in between. Sometimes these are useful for the player, where you attain more health or gain some extra stamina. And this can really benefit the gameplay and make you stronger for your next fight. But in Valhalla, there are 784 items and activities for you to find and complete. From side missions to upgrades to puzzles and various other infuriating objects to find. This is a painstakingly long process. Rarely do these items add any true value to the gameplay. A puzzle is a nice change of pace, but another chest full of gold or a piece of armor that happens to be a lower level than I am already wearing, it doesn't contribute to anything. It's just there to be there. Granted, some activities do provide good lore on the era we are in, or provide background stories on characters and sometimes add a new gameplay element. But it's not enough. The amount of things to collect is just too much. A game that has a similar problem is Red Dead Redemption 2. One of the trophies for the platinum is the Zoologist trophy. This requires you to study and skin every animal in the game. Whereas in Valhalla, every location is marked on the map once you scan the area, these animals in Red Dead Redemption 2 only have a vague spawn location, and not every animal is guaranteed to spawn. So that means if you're looking for a specific animal to study and skin, you can spend hours roaming the supposed habitat without even seeing it and waiting for it to spawn. The same goes for another game I recently platinumed, Ghostwire Tokyo. Although the game and story itself are fine, there are so many collectibles. Someone actually did the math and it turned out to be over 2,000 things you need to collect. From spirits to relics, voice logs, and other weird things. This whole game's side story and gameplay elements caters around collecting spirits that need to be transmitted back through a phone booth. The reason behind collecting them is there, but to do this as a main part of the overall experience and the majority of the hours you spend in the game isn't fun. There's no variety and it simply becomes extremely tedious. It was one of the more ridiculous collectathon games I played in recent memory. Whilst a lot of collectibles can be infuriating, it's not as bad as when they become random. Returnal has quickly become one of my favorite games of all time. The eerie setting, the beautiful music and set pieces, the satisfying gameplay, it all clicks perfectly. But there's one part I just cannot get over. The world of Returnal is generated randomly. Each time you die, the map is reset and can spawn in any order. There are ciphers you can collect that provide lore on the world and how the character got to where she is now. But when a trophy requires you to find all of them, you'll be left to the RNG gods. There is no guarantee that you will find the collectible you are looking for, let alone that it has actually spawned the room that you were looking for. It just becomes an absurd grind to look for the collectible that you don't even know is there. Generally speaking, collectibles don't provide any extra gameplay elements. It sometimes gives extra context to the story or a boost to your stats, but the going out and collecting it, it's really just made to keep you in the game for a longer period of time. And for trophy hunters, it doesn't make the experience any better. It makes it worse. A game that I find very enjoyable becomes a game I am dreading to play. They simply provide an unnecessary amount of extra things for players to do. They don't offer enough for a player that doesn't care about the completion or a trophy to do. And for the people that do care about it, it starts to feel like a job rather than an enjoyable part of the game. But we as humans have a tendency to really like collecting things. Us trophy hunters collect platinums because we like to show our collection of games that we have completed. Because all of those minute collectibles in various games works towards the larger collectible in a platinum trophy. That is then added to an even bigger collection of more platinum trophies. It's a dangerous cycle. I have had games where I don't want to play them, but feel like I need to in order to progress to the next game. I had this with Detroit Become Human, another one of my favorite ever narrative choice driven games that I haven't been able to go back and platinum because of not only the collectibles, but also missable trophies. It's a game that is driven on them and requires you to play through it more than once. I haven't gone back for it yet because I think it might hurt my experience with the game. The trophies will make me experience different outcomes in the game, but I'm already satisfied with the outcome I had. And to force myself to experience the game in a different way, it worries me and what I might think of the game at the end. To save my experience with various other games, I'll play more than one game at a time. But lately I've been doing the opposite and playing a game from start to finish until I have the platinum trophy before moving to a different game. And this creates a feeling of work. I have to complete this game before the next game comes out or before I can start something new. The tasks that are required for the trophy aren't fun and I don't enjoy it. I dread to play a game, but I know that I have to mentally before I can start my next adventure. It is something that I know myself and many others in the community struggle to overcome. We have become so addicted to this process of obtaining and completing everything a game has to offer that we often forget why we played in the first place. And that's fun. I still very much enjoy trophy hunting in the grand scheme of things. Before I was a trophy hunter, I would pretty much only play one game. For me, that was Battlefield 4. I was playing it for days on end, getting better each day, competing against other teams, and really enjoying it. But outside of that one game, I wasn't progressing anywhere. I would occasionally play a different game, but I was primarily stuck to one. When I became a trophy hunter, my expansion of games grew enormously. I went from buying one new game per year to multiple. I was trying the free games that were released each month, and I started discovering new genres I had never played before. My love for gaming as a whole grew. I started to appreciate features that were introduced, improved from other games, or new gameplay elements that we had never seen before. It was a joy. Since my first platinum in 2016, I have now played over 200 games. I have tried games I would have never touched without wanting to go for the platinum trophy in that game. Specifically, indie games are a great example of this. There are so many great games that hardly get enough recognition and love for what they put out. But an easy way for them to get more sales or player engagement is to have an easy trophy list. A game like My Name is Mayo has become a recognizable name in the trophy hunting community. When the first game of the trilogy released back in 2016, it was the easiest platinum trophy one could obtain. It takes less than an hour to complete, and all you had to do was press the Mayo jar 10,000 or so times. Nowadays that game is the equal to a 200-hour platinum game when all the other ones are done in less than a few minutes. These games are made solely for someone to buy to get a platinum trophy. It's become a discussion point for many amongst trophy hunters and a topic for another video, but if people want that, they will play it. I still go back and often play my favorite multiplayer games, but not nearly as much as I used to. Now I use them as a break from a game that I am trying to platinum, to make sure I switch the style up and don't play one thing all the way through to keep myself from burning out. And that's a serious issue, because what people tend to forget about their dedication to the platinum trophy is their mental health. Many players experience this when playing a game for a prolonged period of time or when playing a very difficult game. I don't mean games like the Soul series that are played at a higher difficulty for enjoyment reasons, but games that are near impossible to platinum with the sheer motivation and dedication you need to become a master at that game. One can argue that this is a fulfilling feeling on its own, to conquer a game you were previously a novice noob in. But when that journey to master a game becomes a tedious process that is nothing but pain, it takes a serious toll on your mental health. It's the mindset of needing to overcome one more obstacle before that platinum trophy. It's a form of addiction. But games like Super Meat Boy are impossible to complete without an obscure amount of time and effort to master it. But it can become too much. The enjoyment can go away and turn into frustration. This frustration will build up until it boils over and you simply don't want to play it anymore. The game you once started because you liked the trailer you watched or enjoyed the first hour or heard good reviews from has become a chore to play, a job that needs completing that you cannot enjoy anymore. It's a difficult mental note that you have to overcome. Some of my friends have stopped trophy hunting entirely and have gone back to their roots of enjoying a game just because they enjoy it. Not because they are looking for their next game to platinum, but for their next game to enjoy. Although opinions definitely differ over which games are worthy platinum trophies, the decision should always be at the player themselves. Play whatever game you like. Some enjoy a 4-minute platinum, whilst others like to dedicate hundreds of hours to one game. It all comes down to personal preference and how much you as a player can tolerate. From collectibles to difficulty, it's up to you. Whether you just started trophy hunting last week or started when trophies launched back in 2008, what we can all agree on is that when that one moment finally arrives that you've been dedicating days, months, weeks, or maybe even years of your life towards for that one pesky digital platinum trophy is unlike any other feeling.